BBC Radio, across the South.
Jeremy Hayward, who is a professional magician. You don't work with children, so
In general, I do a lot of kind of like adult. Well, I do entertain children as well, but I do what's close-up magic's really popular now, which is what you get at like corporate events, weddings,
and everyone sits looking at your hands with their mouths open, thinking, "How on earth did you do that?"
Hopefully, if you've done it well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and it's basically it's just kind of like using small objects, so you're at a table when it's quite sort of intimate personal entertainment.
I mean, you've got one of those jobs that probably is on the list of wow. You know, people think, how on earth do you get to do, a job like that? You know, it's like being a pop star, isn't it? It's the job that everyone would love to do. How did you get interested in magic in the first place? Where did the interest come from, Jeremy?
I think it's like a lot of people. I think when I was about 9 years old, it was like watching programs like the Paul Daniels Magic Show.
Brilliant, yes.
And that was like a huge influence because you just watched it, and I remember at school I bought a book, Houdini's Book of Magic, and it just kind of started from there, really. And I used to perform in old people's homes. And then I kind of got to a bit of an older age, and I got out of it, like you do. And then I went to New York when I was about 30, and I saw a magician, and I sort of like started to relight something inside me again.
Yeah.
I started doing it for fun, and someone said to me, "Well, why don't you start trying to do this for money?" And I thought, I'll give it a go. And I got my first booking, and I so wanted to do it so much. If this booking had failed, I thought I would have been so depressed.
Yes.
But I did it, and from then on, it just went. It worked perfectly.
And it just worked.
It just escalated from there, really. And I love doing it. It's brilliant.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, how a magician does his tricks is irrelevant. No one ever tells. But when you first started and you started learning, did you find it really, really difficult as well as fascinating, or was it because you were so interested in it that you were prepared to put the hours in and practice till you got it perfect?
I'm just prepared to practice. But the thing is, with practice, it's something you have to practice with people. You can't just be isolated in it. It has to be. The practice comes with people.
So were you doing tricks in front of your family and they were all going wrong and you all had a good laugh and what have you?
You kind of learn how people work a little bit as well. Like, I can kind of like when I'm doing magic, I'm sussing out everybody. So I go around the tables and I'm sussing out when I'm thinking he's going to be difficult. She's good. This is because you get hecklers, but you have to learn how to control everybody and how to. And I'd say the biggest secret of it all is not getting heckled and things like that. Is to just be polite. And as long as you're not confrontational, and as long as you're not, as long as you don't put up a challenge.
Yeah.
And you just it comes into like a sort of it's about having fun. If you keep it like that, normally it all works out pretty well.
Sure. And how do you become a professional? I mean, there are a lot of people who like to do, a little bit of magic, just as a hobby, just as an interest, maybe going around a few, clubs, schools, old people's homes, whatever, and giving people a lot of enjoyment, which is great. But what do you have to do to be able to say, I am a professional magician?
First thing is you've got to be a member of the Magic Circle, which I'm a member of.
And how does that work? I mean, is it something that anybody can join? Do you have to go through tests and exams? How does that work?
You get you have someone who sort of like it's quite a process actually. You have to go for an interview, and someone has to testify that you're a good character, and then you have to have an audition, and the audition is quite terrifying because there's like 30 of the best magicians scrutinising you with pieces of paper. And
so do they ask you to do things, or do you just go and say, right, this is what I'm going to do, and they sort of judge you on that?
It's you're sort of judged on. You're given you have to do like a 10-minute performance, and there's a lot of things.
But do they ask you to do certain things? I mean, would they say, right, Jeremy, I want you to do this trick, or I want you to perform that trick?
You choose what you do.
You do your own thing, right?
It gets a lot of its presentation as well, how you present it, etc. Obviously the sleight of hand content, and just in general,
And how many people get through? I mean, do most people get through, or is it only a very small number?
I think it's quite a small number. I think it's quite a small number throughout the world. Yeah.
So because it's quite an elite thing, isn't it? I mean, it's
I was quite proud.
Yeah, I should imagine.
It's like when you're like 9 years old, you hear of the Magic Circle, this secret sort of place, and when you're in there, it's like it's really nice. It's a wonderful thing.
And tell me, when you get other magicians together, do you all sit round, talking about the latest trick that you've seen done somewhere? You say, I saw this online, this bloke in Las Vegas did blah, blah, blah. And you do all sit round and talk about these things, do you? And
they do, yes.
And coming up with new ideas, maybe, trying to work out how things could potentially be done or developed?
They'll find, it's like they'll find there's one way to screw a light bulb in, a magician will find 50 ways.
Yes, yeah.
I can describe it.
Yeah. And do you ever see things? I mean, obviously there are some very, very well-known magicians around the world. And do you ever watch them and you see things being done, and you even question in your own mind how things are done? I mean, are there things that only very, very small numbers of people know how they do?
I think so, yeah. But usually, a lot of things I know how are done. I mean, if I know it's done, and if I see a good performance, I still enjoy it. Mm. Absolutely.
Because you're looking at the craft and the way that it's been presented.
Yes, I like the whole presentation. And I think it's a really good thing. I think like live entertainment like that is something that should be cherished more. People are just.
Do people still enjoy? I mean, don't take this the wrong way, but some people might say, "Oh, a magician, it's a bit old hat. It's like plate spinning," And you think, I mean, are people still interested, and particularly young people still interested?
Definitely. I think now, definitely. I think there's kind of like a rebirth in it now. There's lots of. It's probably it's sort of good point at the moment, yeah, because there's been like, you've got different styles of magician. Like in the 70s, you had Paul Daniels, who was great, and he's still regarded as one of the best.
Yes.
He can go on stage with one small briefcase with a whole theatre. And he can have the whole theatre, standing ovation at the end. But then you're moving into like David Blaine, which kind of like he made magic a little bit more accessible and a bit more cool. And you've got like Darren Brown, who's considered what's called in magic a mentalist, and he kind of like works with the mind, etc. So there's different branches of magic, and it's kind of, and of course you've got your classic illusionists. I mean, David Copperfield. I went to see David Copperfield about 6 months ago in Vegas, and I've got to say his show is amazing. It was so good.
I think half the battle is being a great showman, isn't it, or show person?
David Copperfield. It was so good. Yeah.
And where do you see yourself going? I mean, would you like to be up there with all the? I'm sure you're not far from it, but would you like to be up there with your name in lights, in Vegas, or are you quite happy doing what you're doing? Would you like to teach other people? I mean, what is it that ultimately you would like to do?
Ultimately, just at the moment, I'm actually developing, because at the moment I do just close-up magic. At the moment, close-up magic is normally when you go around tables, etc.
Yes.
But what I'm developing at the moment is a parlour show. Now, parlour show is kind of like what they did in Victoria times, where people would get together in like a house of like 10 to 15, a small audience, 10 to 15 people, family members, etc., and there'd be like maybe an hour show of magic.
Wow.
So I'm developing that at the moment, parlour show, and I've done it a few times, and it's worked really well.
Yeah.
I'm developing that, but in a sort of modern context.
Sure. Well, good luck with it. I hope that it all works well. I'm sure that it will. I'll give your website out for people to find out a little bit more about you.
Yeah.
You are
there's a little bit about the history of magic on there as well on my website.
Oh, right. So people who are genuinely interested, it would be a great place to go. You did so well to get this website, www.jeremymagician.co.uk. I bet you were lucky to get that, weren't you?
Yeah.
That you were the first.
I made a point of choosing something, for example, for now, something easy rather than you calling out Jeremy ...
Yeah, it gets all very confusing. Yeah, absolutely. But no, you were lucky to get that. So www.jeremymagician.co.uk. Jeremy Hayward, it's been an absolute pleasure having you with us, and thank you so much for your time tonight.
Thanks a lot. Yeah, and
BBC Radio across the South.